Well, who could possibly beat an introduction like that from two wonderful ladies who have an interesting kind of confluence, really. Susan was, for a long time before being the executive director of the Grand Canyon Association, was here at NAU. And Karen, for many years, while being at NAU, was the director of the Grand Canyon Association. So there's an interesting coming together here. Karen's introduction was way too long, so I'm going to try to be a little bit shorter here. I wanted really to thank you all for braving all this storm and coming out tonight. What are you thinking? What's the deal here? I'm really getting tired of this winter, and I've had enough of it. And thank you especially to those of you who, this is the second time you've tried to do this. Back in January we were scheduled and it didn't work out because of the weather. But the good part of it is I've discovered that I have a very special power that I never knew that I had. I can make a blizzard any old time they schedule me for a talk here at the Klein Library. So there you go. Let me tell you just briefly about this project. It is a local history project, primarily pictorial, and it's for Arcadia Publishing Company. They do a lot of little local histories all over the country, primarily photographic and pictorial. They were nagging me for many years to do this, and I never felt that I had the time until about a year and a half ago. And I finally caved into them. And I said, I'll do it on one condition. You let me set my own deadline. And believe it or not, they said, you can set your own deadline. So I thought as far ahead as I could think, which was like almost a year ahead of time. That was as far as my little brain could work. And they said, okay, you can do it. So the fall went by and I diddled around, and then the winter came, and then the holidays came, and then New Year's came, and I didn't do a thing about it. And then I made the acquaintance of a really great guy here. I don't know if he's here tonight, but my co-author, John DeGraff. And John is a wonderful local guy who for many years has been collecting photographic images of Flagstaff history. And he has a, believe me, massive collection of early Flagstaff images, primarily postcards. So we connected, and so that kind of gave me a little stimulus to get going on this project, but still that deadline was closing in on us. So I procrastinated a little bit more, and before I knew it, it was April 15th, and the deadline was June the 1st. So we really scrambled to put this together, but I think, I'll let you all be the judge, but I think it came out pretty well. And there are a lot of images here. We tried to kind of make the cutoff in 1920 or thereabouts for the most part. Our other rule was that to the degree that we could, we would include in the book images that had not been previously published or certainly not widely published. So I think you're going to see a lot of things here tonight that a lot of people have not seen about early Flagstaff. And I'm going to try to go through it pretty quickly to get you all back home safely. So I'm going to start out. This is an old steel engraved map of the area that we're talking about. And when John and I were putting together the book, it seemed to us that we could organize it in fairly logical sequences or chapters. One dealing with our natural environment, then with the earliest peoples who were here, and then going into kind of some of the early settlement, and with a particular emphasis on the early industries that were here, mainly the 2 T's and the 2 R's, the railroad and ranching and timber and tourism. So I'll talk a little bit about all of those things. And like I said, try to get you out of here pretty quick. So we'll start off with really my very favorite image. It's why it's the first one in the book. It's the earliest known photograph taken of Flagstaff. taken at what they call Antelope Springs out by Marshall School in 1867. So look, we're talking about 140 years plus or minus. There was, with other than a few maybe archaeological pit houses or sites, there was absolutely zero here in 1867, nothing. You're looking up Fort Valley Road here toward Secret School and the Peaks in 1867. The Civil War photographer Alexander Gardner took that view. A couple of other railway fantasies about the Peaks. This from the Whipple survey in 1853, Baldwin Mulhausen's drawing, kind of interesting. Another great woodcut from 1891 from up in Lockwood Canyon on the Grand Canyon stage route, looking back on the peaks. And I think it's just a wonderful image. I don't know that it's ever really been seen since 1891. A beautiful Thomas Moran watercolor of the peaks in a Santa Fe Railway promotional book. Again, this out by Lockett Estates. Shows a lot of water. I think it's a little bit of a fantasy, but maybe not. This is a great postcard of John McGrath showing the peaks with the great hay farms out in front. You can see all the hay stacks and stuff. It's really weird, hard to visualize today where Cheshire Estates are, the great hay farm. Anybody venture a guess where that is? Well, the peaks obviously can be seen for a long ways away. This is Fort Whipple at Prescott, a very early view. And the peaks, I think, were touched up in this a little bit by hand, but interesting view. The Inner Basin, after one of the great fires that burned all the timber off the peaks. My father said when he was young, he told two stories about the peaks. One, that in the summertime, the peaks would twinkle like stars because of all the sheep herders up there with their little campfires. But then once when he was a very young boy, when the great fire started and just burned off the peaks. And now we all get all nervous if there's a forest fire going. You can't have that. But it was a natural thing, and you see in the early pictures of the peaks, great bare areas where these forest fires burned all through there. And now I'm going to need my tech guy to come back. I don't know what I've done here, but okay. Another on top of the peaks deal, little summertime amusement. Scaling the top of the peaks in 1904. Some guys from our ranch decided to take a break from their work and go up there. And I wondered if you liked the BPA-free Lexan bottles that they took up there for water. Okay, a little more of the geography, of course, just Sunset Crater, the ice caves at Sunset Crater, Mount Eldon. Look at that, Buffalo Park and all the area leading to Buffalo Park. Not a single structure. Nobody there. SP Crater, I think you all know the story of that and how it got named. Right?
No.
Yeah. My grandfather, that was part of the range out there. And in those days, there was no indoor plumbing in Flagstaff. And I guess he rode by that enough times to have something register in his mind. And it reminded him of the chamber pot in Bedford. So I'll let you speculate about what SP means. Red Mountain, Meteor Crater, Walnut Canyon. Walnut Canyon again. My family, my grandfather's brother George, great uncle George, and his family on one of the great picnics, they used to love to go out to Walnut Canyon and picnic. And the guy in the middle with the big mustache is George Hockdorfer, one of the real early settlers here, and a really great guy. Fisher Point, and the little house that used to be at Fisher Point. Oak Creek,